they warned her. Natalie Reiss, a 29-year-old travel blogger known for seeking out paranormal destinations, had heard the rumors about the Whisper Hotel in San Francisco. It was sleek, 5 stars, remodeled dozens of times, but the bones were still old, very old. The legend was whispered among night staff and janitors: never accept a key to room 731. The hotel no longer advertised the 7th floor. It was locked, hidden, forgotten. So, of course, Natalie asked for it. The desk clerk, a young man with shadows under his eyes, froze. Then, without a word, slid her an old-fashioned brass key. "I didn't give you this," he muttered. "If anything happens, run down the stairs, never up." Natalie smiled. Perfect. That night, she took the antique elevator up. It passed floor 6, then paused, shuddered, and with a hard jolt, the door opened onto a hallway that shouldn't exist. The wallpaper was old, torn, the carpet wet. A light at the far end buzzed and blinked. It smelled like mildew, copper, and decay. Natalie walked slowly to room 731. The door was swollen with moisture. Scratches marred the wood near the handle, deep ones, like something tried to claw its way out. She opened it. The room inside was pristine, too pristine. Modern furniture, fresh flowers, clean sheets. It looked nothing like the hallway outside, but it was silent. Not just quiet, dead silent. Not even the hum of the AC. Natalie set up her camera. She whispered into her mic, "I'm officially inside room 731. It's colder than it should be. Let's see if the stories are true." At midnight, the first knock came. 3 soft taps. She turned. No one was at the door. Then came the second knock, but this time, from inside the closet. She opened it slowly, empty, but scrawled in faint red chalk across the back wall. Barely visible, unless the light hit it just right, were the words, "Do not let it see your eyes." Natalie stared at it, confused, and that's when her phone buzzed. A notification, photos saved to gallery. She hadn't taken a photo. She opened it. The image showed her sleeping, taken from above, as if someone had been standing over her. She looked up. The ceiling was dripping blood. Natalie, heart hammering. The blood wasn't just dripping from the ceiling. It was seeping from the edges of the chandelier, which now swayed slowly. Though no wind blew, she backed toward the bathroom to splash her face, hoping this was all just sleep deprivation. But when she flicked on the light, something was wrong. The mirror didn't reflect her. It showed the bathroom, yes, but empty, as if she wasn't standing there at all. She leaned closer. Still nothing. She waved her arms. Nothing then. Just, for a split second, a figure moved. Behind her in the reflection. Not in the room, only in the mirror. She spun, empty. Her breath grew shallow. Her instincts screamed at her to leave. But this was her job. Prove the stories. Face the ghosts. Still, nothing in any hotel she'd visited before felt like this. This wasn't haunted. This was wrong. She turned off the bathroom light and returned to the bed. Her phone buzzed again. Video saved. Her camera had auto-recorded something. She hadn't touched it. She opened the video file. It was only 17 seconds. The footage showed her sitting on the bed earlier that night, brushing her hair. But behind her, in the shadows between the closet and the window, something moved. A shape, thin, crooked, almost skeletal. It crawled on the wall like an insect. Then it stopped. Its face turned toward the camera. No features. Just skin stretched tight over a smooth surface. Except for one thing. A single, lidless eye. The creature stared directly into the camera. Then the footage cut. Natalie dropped the phone. Her heart raced. Her ears rang. A scream built in her throat, but she swallowed it. That's when she heard the breathing. Not hers. Not outside. From inside the room, low, rattling, wet breaths. coming from beneath the bed. She dropped to her knees slowly and peered underneath. Nothing but carved into the floorboards. Hidden in the shadows were rows and rows of symbols, circles with slashes through them, hundreds, and all around them. Etched in jagged scratches were words. Don't blink, don't look, don't ask its name. She sat back, trembling, and then came the whisper, right beside her ear. We see you. The lights went out, the lights went out. The room was darkness. Natalie held her breath. The silence was deeper, now not the absence of sound, but the crushing pressure of something listening. Then came the ticking, a soft, rhythmic tick-tick-pick, like a broken clock buried beneath the floorboards. It echoed inside her skull, quickening with her heartbeat. She grabbed her flashlight and flicked it on. The beam shook in her hand. She swept it across the room, bed, desk, closet, bathroom, all still, until the light hit the mirror. There was someone in it again. Not her. A woman stood in the reflection, wearing a nurse's uniform soaked in old blood. Her head was twisted completely backward, her mouth open in a scream. Her eyes gouged out to black holes dripping with darkness. Natalie spun around, no one behind her. She turned back to the mirror. The nurse was closer now, reaching toward her through the glass. Cracks began to spread across the surface of the mirror, spiderwebbing out from the nurse's bleeding hand, and then shattering. The glass exploded outward, slicing Natalie's cheek. She screamed and stumbled back as shards clattered around her, but no one climbed through. Only a single object fell from the broken frame, a key, long, iron, ancient. She picked it up with shaking fingers. Attached to it was a yellowed tag that read, "Basement, for emergency use only." Natalie had never seen a basement listed on the hotel directory, and yet, something in her gut told her that's where this all started. She stuffed the key into her bag, wiped the blood from her face, and reached for her phone again. No signal. The time read 3:13 a.m., a time it had read for the past 20 minutes. And then her camera beeped again. Another video. She hadn't recorded this one either. She opened it. The footage was of her, in the hallway, approaching room 731, except she was not alone. A tall, narrow figure walked beside her, unseen. Its hand hovered just above her shoulder. Its face was blurred, but its eye glowed red through the distortion. The camera zoomed in on her face and whispered, "She doesn't know yet." The video ended with static and one frame of an image almost too fast to catch. But Natalie paused. The still image showed her lying in the hotel bathtub, eyes open. Blood pooled around her, wrists sliced. She gasped. It was time-stamped for the next night. Natalie. Night by dawn. The sun barely reached room 731. The window, once open, was now jammed shut, and the air had grown heavier, like the room was being exhaled from underground. She knew she had to go, using the iron key she found inside the shattered mirror. She wandered through the hotel's service corridors, past rusting linen carts and long-dead vending machines, until she found an unmarked steel door near the boiler room. She tried the key. It clicked. The door groaned open. A staircase descended into a lightless void, colder than anything she'd ever felt. A sudden gust of air blew past, her wet and metallic, like a tomb had just opened. Natalie descended, flashlight in one hand, phone in the other. Every step creaked beneath her, groaning like it hadn't been walked in decades. The walls were lined with tiles, white, cracked, and streaked with something brown. Blood, mold. She didn't want to know. And then she saw it. At the base of the stairs was a hallway of sealed rooms, tiny doors with rusted viewing windows, numbered .731, 1731.2, 731.3, ... all the way up to 731.13. They weren't storage units, they were cells, and scratched into every single door, in different handwriting and depth, was the same phrase, "He never left." Natalie opened one. Inside was a small cot, Old restraints bolted to the frame, and drawings on the walls, hundreds of them, all of eyes, some wide open, some bleeding, some crossed out. In the corner of the room, barely visible in the flashlight's beam, was a pile of hotel keycards, room 731, dozens of them. She checked the dates, from as far back as 1974. Each guest that stayed in room 731 had disappeared. Suddenly, the flashlight flickered. Her phone buzzed. A message from her own number. Why? Did you come here? Her phone slipped from her hand and clattered to the ground. When she picked it up, the camera was open, recording. The screen showed her face, but she wasn't holding the phone anymore. A second, Natalie stood behind her, smiling, the real Natalie. Turned, no one there. The light above her exploded, plunging the basement into darkness. From the end of the hallway came scraping, then footsteps, slow, bare, wet, and then a voice, deep, wrong, echoing from the walls. Room 731 was never meant to be opened again. Natalie ran, but the hallway grew longer, the air heavier, and from every cell she passed, voices began whispering in unison. Stay, stay, stay. He's awake now. He sees you. She reached the stairs and scrambled up, slamming the iron door behind her. When she looked back, down the steps, there were hands reaching up from the blackness, thin, pale, grinning through cracked nails. Natalie, bulby, heart pounding, lungs raw from the basement air. The concierge desk was empty. The chandeliers flickered as if shorting out. She looked around. The entire hotel was quiet, too quiet. No footsteps, no phones ringing, no elevator music. Then she saw the front doors, chained shut, heavy steel links, padlocked tight from the inside. No exit. And worse, they hadn't been like that the day before. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from her number. He sees you now. You opened the door. She wanted to scream. She tried calling 911, but every time she dialed, the screen flashed a single word before cutting out. Behold. Panicked, she sprinted back to her room to pack her things, but the hallway changed. Where room 731 had been was now a brick wall. She spun around. Doors blinked in and out of existence. Some melted. Some were upside down. Some bled slowly from the peepholes. She was inside something, living now. She reached for the elevator. It opened immediately. Inside stood the man from the video, tall, thin, skin like leather stretched too tight across bone. His eyes were stitched shut with black thread, his mouth sewn into a smile. He reached for her. She screamed and slammed. The door shut, but not before the lights flickered again, and she heard a whisper right behind her. He is not trapped here. You are. She ran to the fire stairs. As she climbed, each landing got darker, more warped. Wallpaper peeled in reverse. Light bulbs blinked in and out like dying eyes. By the time she reached the 13th floor, the stairwell ended abruptly in a wall of mirrors. Each mirror reflected Urbit differently. In one, she was headless. In another, she was on fire. In the third, she stood beside a nurse with a backward head, both of them smiling. Then, all the reflections turned at once and looked directly at her, mouths moving in sync. He who opens eyes is awake now. Natalie screamed and smashed one of the mirrors. Behind it, another door, numbered 731. But this wasn't the same room. It looked ancient, burnt. The air oozed rot. The number was carved in flesh, not wood. She opened it. Inside stood a circle of chairs, each facing inward, burnt candles, blood on the floor, and in the center a child's crib, untouched by time. As she stepped in, the door slammed shut behind her. The crib began to rock. Inside was a charred baby doll, eyeless, mouth sewn shut. In its hand, it held a matchbox. Natalie picked it up. Inside was a folded piece of skin, dried and stretched like parchment. Scrawled on it were these words: Room 731 was not built. It was buried. It was fed. And now it's hungry again. The lights exploded, and something began crawling across the ceiling fast. Natalie, as the thing on the ceiling moved closer, limbs skittering like a centipede, joints bending the wrong way. It dropped behind her with a wet thud. She didn't turn, but she could hear it breathe. Then a voice, directly in her ear, "Open your eyes." Her vision went black. Not from darkness, but because her eyes refused to obey. Her hands trembled as she reached for the crib again, as if drawn by something beyond will. When her fingers touched the scorched wood, she felt a pull, like a heartbeat. The room began to change. Walls peeled back to reveal rotting brick. The carpet crawled with cockroaches. Blood leaked from the light fixtures, and the door, now gone, was replaced by a mirror in it. Natalie saw herself, but not her. This version had stitched eyelids. Black tears ran down her cheeks. Her skin was cracked like porcelain, and from the cracks leaked whispers, thousands of them. She reached out to touch the mirror, but her reflection moved faster and smiled. "You're ready?" Suddenly, Natalie was inside the reflection, not just seeing it, living it. She stood in room 731, but it was 1939. The walls were clean. A doctor stood beside a patient strapped to a chair. A boy, no more than 10, eyes wide open, terrified. The doctor held a needle, the size of a knitting rod. "He won't sleep," the doctor said. "He says he sees things when he closes his eyes. So we're going to take his sight away." Natalie screamed, but no sound came out. She watched helplessly as the needle pierced each of the boy's eyes. He didn't scream. He laughed. Blood streamed down his cheeks. Then he whispered, "Now I can really see you." The boy turned, looked directly at Natalie. Though she wasn't there, he saw her. "I waited for you," he said. "All of you who stayed here, all of you who tried to forget. You all fed me." The room collapsed into blackness, and then Natalie awoke back in the real room 731.0r. What was left of it? Dust, crumbling walls, no lights. The building was now in ruins. A man's voice spoke from the doorway. "You saw him, didn't you?" She turned. A frail old man stood there, holding a rusted hotel key. "Room 731. I was the bellhop the night it happened," he said. "When they buried the boy down there, the hotel kept operating, but the room was always ... hungry." He handed her the key. "You're the last guest, miss. He chose you." Natalie tried to speak, but her mouth was sewn shut. Her eyes burned. She looked in the cracked mirror, her eyelids stitched shut with black thread, but she could see, and behind her reflection, he stood, smiling. He who opens eyes. Epilogue. Years later, the Whisper Hotel was demolished in 2023 after a string of unexplained disappearances. During demolition, workers uncovered a sub-basement filled with dozens of sealed rooms, each marked with the number 731. Inside one was a hotel guest ledger. The last name recorded, Natalie Green. Check-in, 2022. No check-out. They say if you walk past where the hotel used to stand, and close your eyes for more than 3 seconds, you'll see him, and if you open your eyes and find that they've gone dark, it means he's inside you now.